Offensive Security Roadmap. I have received so many requests for this video and finally it is here. Ethical hacking and offensive security roles look very cool on YouTube and in movies. It is somebody sitting in a dark room, hacking, doing all the cool and amazing stuff. And that interests you because you feel, wow, I want to do this in my career. But in this video, let's talk about, is that the reality? And let's also talk about, if you want to do this, what are the real things that you should learn? I have made this video and roadmap especially for all the beginners starting out there. So if you are watching this video, know that you don't need to have any prerequisites. If you are someone who's just interested in offensive security and pen testing and you are like, someone please help me, I just want to start, I want to learn the right things in the right way, then this video is absolutely for you. Watch it till the end. Hi everyone, my name is Meera Tamboli. I work in cybersecurity in the UK and I make lots of videos on cybersecurity. So if this is your first time coming to my channel, don't forget to subscribe and check out some of the other videos. So most beginners start using too many tools, forget the fundamentals and don't go in depth of the attacks, jump to certifications such as the OSCP directly, and these are all the things that you could be doing wrong. Let me say this very clearly right now. It's like a reality check for you. Offensive security is not very easy. You can't become a very good pen tester in just a 3 months timeline. And doing certifications is not just directly going to land you a job. But what I can tell you is, if you follow this roadmap, if you learn these things in the right order and the right way, you'll be in a much better position to make a career in offensive security. So the first step is learning the computer networks fundamentals in depth. This is a non-negotiable. All the ports, attacks, IP addresses, MAC addresses, every networking concept, you need to learn this. It's very, very important. Without that, you can't understand network attacks. You can't understand how the data is flowing, how computers actually talk to each other. So this is point number one. Point number two is understanding operating systems in depth. You need to know the differences between a Windows machine and a Linux machine, how the operating system is really working, what is a kernel, what is registry. Very, very important. I mention these 2 points again and again for almost every of my cyber videos because that is how important this is, right? Step number 3, understanding cyber attacks in depth. So if I asked you what is a brute force attack or what is a DOS attack, I don't just want to hear the definition. You need to know the attack in depth. What was the attacker really thinking when they carried that out? If you want to become an ethical hacker or want to get into red team roles, you need to start thinking like the attacker. You need to know what attackers are trying to do. Read the latest cybersecurity news. You need to know what's happening in the current landscape. What are the new methodologies and methods attackers are using? You need to learn attacks in that perspective. Whenever you are learning an attack, ask that question, like, why would the attacker do it on this port? Why does the attacker want to change their IP address? These are the questions you need to actually ask, not just the definition of the attack. Step number 4, since you're doing offensive security, ethical hacking roles, you need to have basic scripting coding knowledge. So that does not mean that you have to know complete coding and start making codes for some applications or websites. It's not that way. But you need to understand basic codes. You need to be able to write basic Python scripts because you need to automate a lot of the things you're doing. You need to know basic PowerShell, Linux. You need to know these things because without that, you can't understand the commands and you can't actually simulate these attacks. If you want to attack a website, we need to know how that website is working. You need to know basic HTML, CSS, JavaScript. I know listening to this might be a little overwhelming. I'm not asking you to go and learn all of these 100 programming and scripting languages and become the expert at them. It's not that way. You can start small, but start with the fundamentals. You should at least know the basic of everything. Moreover, you need to know the logic. And when you see a script, you should be able to tell what it's doing. Even if you can't tell each and every line of the script or the code, you should be able to at least tell what the script is actually trying to do. So focus more on the logic part and how the scripts and the attacks are working and how these are used in ethical hacking rather than just by-hearting syntax and trying to by-heart and code. If you're still watching this video, chances are that you are interested in making a career in offensive security and you are interested in roles such as penetration tester and ethical hacking. And one of the questions you would have in your mind is, which certification should I do? And honestly speaking, CEH is still one of the most popular certifications out there. No matter which offensive security role you search for, you will see in the job description that the companies ask for you to have CEH certification. If CEH is on your roadmap and you are sure you want to do offensive security and CEH, one of the most important things that you need to do is learn the content of the CEH in a structured and organized manner. manner rather than learning random modules and theoretical stuff from different resources. That is exactly where Back to Skills comes in the picture. They have a CEH preparation course of the latest version that is specifically designed for beginners. Content of the courses is aligned exactly with the CEH exam so that you know exactly what matters for the exam and you know what to learn rather than being all random and over the place. It helps you to study the exact things that are needed and build your skills and fundamentals from scratch. I mentioned the website and all of the details of the Back to Skills course in the description below. And to everybody who's watching this video, you also have an additional 10% discount. I've also pinned the comment for the same, so don't forget to check it out. Then step number 5, doing hands-on practice. So far, you learned all of the prerequisites. You learned all about the attacks. You also read the news and you understood stuff from the attacker mindset. You also learned some basic scripting and coding. What next? Put all of this into action. Now is the time you actually start doing hands-on. If you just know in theory how to attack, but you don't know how to actually attack hands-on, it's not going to be helpful. It's going to be very difficult for you as a beginner to actually crack your first role in an offensive security. So you need to do hands-on practice. Start with something small. I see a lot of beginners making the mistake of skipping all the steps we spoke about and directly jumping into an OSCP certification or directly trying to, download Kali Linux and set up and do lots of things. Instead, what you can do is start small, so it's not overwhelming. Start with the labs that are already available. They're built in VMs such as TryHackMe, Hack the Box. You can use SportsFigure, Web Security Academy, lots of amazing resources on that. By doing this, you will understand how to do the basic hands-on stuff. And when you do that, it's not too overwhelming because these sites actually provide you a lot of hints and guide you through the process. Once you've passed this stage and you have practiced a lot on these hands-on labs which are available on internet, then now is the time when you can actually move on to the next step, which is setting up your independent lab. Now you can download a VM, set up Kali Linux and try to do brute force attacks, start participating in CTF competitions, take it up the next level. Once you download Kali Linux, you can do a lot of other things. You can use Worksuite, you can use Nmap, you can use Metasploit, try to do an Attacker Defender lab. Always remember, tools don't make you a hacker and knowing how to use a tool will not make you a hacker. The understanding, the mindset of how the hacker thinks and what you need to simulate, that is what will make you a good hacker. Now the last step after you've done all of this, now you can get into certifications. So you can do something like a basic course available on, let's say, Coursera or Udemy and platforms like that. Or if you want an industry level certification, you can go for EJPT because it's getting a lot of popularity. You can go for CEH, although there's more of theoretical stuff on there, but you can go on the CEH certification. You can also do a CompTIA Pen Test Plus. These are all beginner-friendly industry level certifications for pen testing growth. Please don't try to do OSCP directly. I see a lot of roadmaps and videos just suggesting the step 1 that please go and do an OSCP certification. OSCP is an advanced certification. Nobody is expecting you to learn this or do this in the first step. Do all the steps we discussed in this video and it will be a proper structured path for you. And don't just directly start with the certifications or courses because you will be so restricted to just what is in the certification or the course and you will miss out on all the amazing other stuff we have spoken in this video. So just start small, start step by step, learn the ABCs, then learn forming sentences, then start forming paragraphs and then start reading a Shakespeare level poem, right? That's what I would suggest to anyone. That's the same thing I'm telling you. Fundamentals of OSNC and cyber fundamentals, learning the basic stuff of how an attacker thinks and how attacks work in depth, learning all of the scripting languages, the logic, starting with the labs, anything on the internet such as TryHackMe, Hackbox, SportsFigure, then setting up your own labs and then get into certifications. Just follow this path, you will have a much better structure. You will end up learning so much more because when you do these things, you actually learn so much more than what you would learn in a course or a certification. Now, if you watch this video till here, you would be thinking, I understood all these steps, I would start doing them, but once I finish with this, what should I do then? After that, obviously, your next step will be make a good CV, updated with all the skills you just learned throughout this roadmap, updated with all the great projects and the lab work you've done, all the CTF challenges you have solved, put in all the new skills you've learned. And after that, update your LinkedIn profile, start connecting with people in the cybersecurity industry, look at the job openings on LinkedIn or any other platforms if you want to, and then start applying for these offensive security roles. You can start with a junior ethical hacker, junior pen tester. These are better rather than jumping directly into senior role or trying to jump into some specialist roles like reverse engineering or malware analyst. That's a little later in your career. It's going to be difficult to get a job directly in that. So start with something small, like a junior pen tester, ethical hacking intern, something like that. And that's how you can break into an offensive security career. I really hope this roadmap gave you some good idea that as a beginner, what you really need to do. Because when you search cybersecurity online, majority of the stuff that comes up is actually offensive security or ethical hacking related. And that's what most of the beginners think they have to do. But there's so much more to cybersecurity. So if you feel like you don't want to just do this, there are so many other pathways you can explore. And I've already created videos on that. So after watching this video, you can also check them out and see if this cybersecurity domain is actually right for you. Ethical hacking or offensive security 2026 is going to be all about understanding the latest attacks. Like I mentioned earlier in this video, you obviously need to know all these fundamentals when you're starting out, but as you progress and learn more and more things, try to find out the latest attacks happening in the market. There's a lot of different things happening, such as with AI or cryptography. So keep reading the news. You can use websites such as Hacker News or Bleeping Computer. Keep reading the news so that you are one step ahead of the attacker at all times. Reading the other attacks happening in organization or in the real world outside will give you a good understanding of how an attacker really thinks. And when you read that and understand how a certain attack happened, when you try to simulate an attack, you will start thinking in that same perspective. So it's very, very important. I hope you liked this video, and I know there are going to be a lot of comments asking about resources. So I am already going to pin it in the description below. All the steps that I told you and what are the resources that can actually help you to learn these things I spoke about today will be mentioned below. Please comment down and let me know if you are planning to do an offensive security career in 2026. Thank you so much and see you next time.